Welcome to Miss Martin Mucuses. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses, where we muse upon what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. Well, today we're gonna probably touch on every single aspect of that wide range of emotions. We are gonna talk about everything the Wheel of Time for the rest of us. Please come ready in the chat. Please come ready in the chat with your questions. We're going to be going over a lot of material with my amazing panelists. We are joined by Lady Gravemaster herself.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome, Lady Gravemaster. Welcome, Lady Gravemaster. And we have Stig Kenobi all the way from the future.
Hi.
Hi. Well, this has been a long time coming because as we all know, there's things have happened, but we're so happy to be here. Now we're going to go ahead and say a little bit of a hello to the chat. Yes, welcome everyone that's coming in. I see a lot of you. I'm Aaron Delft, very welcome here. Laura Jar, Naked Fame, Shane Nolan, and anyone else popping in, please give me a like, share, and a subscribe. We talk a lot of things here on Miss Martin Muses, but today it is going to be the Wheel of Time. I am going to start it off with a question. What is the series, The Wheel of Time? And I'm going to throw it first to Stig Kenobi.
Well, it's a huge epic fantasy series written by Robert Jordan. And finished by Brandon Sanderson, because Robert Jordan passed away fairly early too, really. It's 14 bricks. Long story. And it's finished. You can read the whole damn thing.
Yeah. Yeah, he actually, unlike some people, has finished his book.
No, technically he didn't, did he? But the books are finished.
Well, he did leave behind notes and direction.
Yeah. Over 6,000 pages, I believe.
Thanks, Shane Nolan. Yes, yeah. So, I mean, it's not like he left nothing. But, I think you were the one telling me, Stig, how, I think you were the one telling me that the reason Sanderson's the one that finished it is because Jordan's widow was so moved by his message that she wanted him to do it.
Yeah, he had written a form of eulogy on his blog because Sanderson was a huge fan of Robert Jordan. And when he passed away, he was devastated. And someone sent that blog post to Jordan's wife. She saw it and she's like, yeah, if someone is to finish the series, it should be him, because back then it was a good thing if you were a fan of the franchise you were writing for, right?
I mean, generally speaking, yeah, that's how successful franchises tended to work. But I don't know anymore. I guess the rules have changed in the higher echelons.
Oh yeah, today all he would have had to do was have the right pronouns.
Yeah.
But I also like the fact that, from what I understand, Robert Jordan, he left behind like the story treatment. It's not the dude's fault he died. He up and died, but he didn't have. Yeah, well, you know what I mean. He had actually a long illness, from what I understand. But he also, he wasn't selfish about it. He wasn't like, no, if I can't finish it, nobody would, like somebody else. But it's like, no, he left. He knew that the fans were waiting for the story. They'd invested in how many books? Like 14 books. And we're not just talking books. We're talking bricks. You could build a wall with these books.
Yeah, so I've got my 3, and so Stig knows this. I was able to find, are you ready for this, Teresa? So I have the whole collection of Wheel of Time, and Stig and I talked about that like eons ago. Before I ever knew the show was a thing. Stig knew it was coming. He's actually the one who was like, hey, did you know this about it? And I was like, oh, hopefully it doesn't suck. Oh, anyway. But so I've got the whole series in paperback and ebook, and I've had it for a long time. But it was like, oh my God, this is 14 books. Like, this is 14 huge bricks of books. Like, it seemed kind of daunting to me to start, because I'm one of those people, like, once I start, I have to finish. Unless it's absolutely trash, I like have to finish it. So I was like, man, 14 books. I don't know that I can actually actually push through that. And then when I started reading them, I was like, why did I wait? Like, I'm enjoying myself. I love these books. They're a great time. But we were out hunting for something else entirely, and I happened to come across copies of the original covers of the hardcover. So like, I have the original art hardcovers, and they were all like retail. They're all like $50 books, and I think I spent a total of $27 at the store. When I walked out with I walked out with The Eye of the World, The Great Hunt, and The Dragon Reborn for like $27. And they're not in mint condition. You can tell that they have had a previous owner, but they are in exceptionally good condition. And like, they were just sitting there, and I was like, no way that this is all three of these books. Like, that cannot be it. But like, I'm holding the hardcover, and if you discount the glossary, which I recommend reading because it definitely helps. The references, by the way, people, in fantasy books are there for a reason. They are very helpful, especially the maps. But if you discount the glossary, the hardcover for Eye of the World, book 1, is 657 pages. So
yeah,
it's not a short book.
It's actually one of the thinner ones.
Yeah. And so, hang on, let me see. What have I got? So in the hardcovers, so the first one was 657 if you discount, again, the glossary, which I don't recommend. And then you have The Great Hunt, which is I'm looking 500 and maybe I lied. Maybe 598. Sorry. So there's 500. So like, those are the first two books, and you're talking an average of 6. So that's 1,200 pages between the first two books, and it's well worth the read. Well worth the read.
Oh yeah.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I was actually looking up today how many words are in the entire series, and it's 4,400,000 words in the entire set. Yes, I think it's like it even almost set records. It was amazing. Yeah, and welcome everyone coming into the chat. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses. If this is your first time here, please give me a like, share, and a subscribe. I have a question along here on the banner. What questions do you have about the Wheel of Time? We're particularly focusing first on the book. What is the book? What is this series? Now, Stig, what's your history with the Wheel of Time?
I was reading, I read The Lord of the Rings, right? And I was reading a lot of Conan. And I guess my dad noticed I was into stuff like that. So he bought me some Terry Brooks books for my birthday back in the early 90s. And I got hooked on those, but I ran out of Terry Brooks books because I was just consuming them. And then Christmas happens, I think, and my dad had bought me the first Wheel of Time book. And he bought it because he just saw the cover. He had no idea what it was. Figured I would like it, right? And I got royally hooked. I think as soon as I had read it, I went to the bookstore and got book 2 and 3, and then I just kept going. And I would reread most of the books before the next release. I think it was from book 6 or 7 onwards, something like that. And And Robert Jordan wasn't as slow as George Martin when it came to releasing books. He'd do one every year or every second year, actually. So he was pretty quick about it. Yeah, I bought the video game too back in the day. Played through that one. There was a CD released, which was supposed to be, the soundtrack of the Wheel of Time. I have that one. Yeah, I just wanted more.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And as you've said previously, you've actually reread them several times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first 5 or 6 books I've probably read 5 times, something like that.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Wow, that's that's amazing. Well, what can you tell us? I'll start with Stig here. What can you tell us about the story of the Wheel of Time?
Basically, the premise is that someone called the Dragon Reborn, who has been reborn several times, is destined to fight, the Dark One, Great Evil, who is trapped in a prison of sorts. And as they trapped him, I believe he managed to taint the male half of the one power, which is the magic system. So any male who is born with the ability to channel the one power will eventually go mad after that.
Yikes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically setting the basically cheating, because the Dragon Reborn is a guy, so when he gets reborn, it's going to go mad,
Mm-hmm.
And then he does go mad and destroys the world, basically. Physically as well. It just tears up the continents and all kinds of crap. So yeah, and that was when civilization was very, very advanced, because we get to know some of it through the series that they had basically flying cars at the time. So it goes to hell, and now they're back in medieval times because everything's been fucked up.
Can I just say, so that was something that, like when they try to explain, they're like, all these, like, I've lived these thousands of lives or whatever, because the wheel weaves as the wheel wills. And so, like, the wheel, like, when I first heard about, like, the Wheel of Time, I was thinking, like, a wagon wheel. You know what I mean? Well, because, like, you hear wheel. And so it's a fantasy genre novel. And so you're like, oh, so, like, Wheel of Time, so it's going to be like an ancient clock or like a wagon wheel that is like enchanted or something along those lines. It took me forever to realize that they were talking about like a spinner's wheel. Like, think of like Sleeping Beauty, and she pricked her finger on the spinning wheel needle or whatever. That's it's literally, it's spinning, it's weaving out the thread and the cloth of like life. It's basically like the wheels of fate. I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense than a wagon wheel.
Yeah.
Then at the end of the book, at the end of the final book, you just went, where was the wagon?
Oh yeah. Where was the wagon? I feel cheated.
Yeah.
Yeah, Laura Gear says here, the wheel turns and ages come and pass. What once was will be again as the wheel turns.
Yep.
And that, from what I understand, is from the little poem that always started off each volume.
Yeah. It's part of it. I can read it to you if you wish.
Oh, go for it.
Yes.
Yeah, this is how the book starts. The Wheel of Time turns and ages come and pass, leaving memories that become legend. Legend fades to myth, and even myth is long forgotten when the age that gave it birth comes again. In one age, called the Third Age by some, an age yet to come, an age long past, a wind rose in the mountains of mist. The wind was not the beginning. There was neither beginnings nor endings to the turning of the Wheel of Time. But It was a beginning. That's how it starts.
Yay!
And it kind of really sets the stage perfectly, doesn't it?
Does.
Yeah.
Because, like...
And Shane Newland says it's like the Fates in Greek mythology.
Yeah.
And in Naked Frame, each person is a thread woven into the tapestry of time.
Yeah, and as we find out further in the book, that some threads are more important.
Oh.
They are threads that has to be there.
They have to. And they don't get it. You don't get the choice.
Yep, and they affect the threads around them.
Yep. Like, I don't want to do this. Too bad.
That's cool.
Literally, like, I don't want to. Like, that don't matter. The wheel does not care.
Yeah, which does turn a little bit into a Deus Ex Machina in the story, because it is also used for convenience a couple of times. They're like, yeah, let's kill him, and then all of a sudden, nah, I don't think so. And turns out, yeah, it was the wheel that did it.
The wheel.
The wheel did it.
Woo. Yeah. I mean, so like, I think, I know I'm not trying to like skip ahead, because I know that we're going to structure this a little bit, but I think that especially with the first book, the amount of energy and time and dedication that is put towards character arcs and world building and people being where they're supposed to be at a certain time. Like, could you imagine if Tom had not been introduced? He's the Gleeman, by the way. So, like, imagine if he hadn't been introduced in the story until the end of book 1. You know what I mean? Like, it would have made no sense. And you've got... I really just want an excuse to bring up Gareth, because he's my favorite so far.
Yay.
Like, he's just so... So Lan was my favorite until I met Gareth, FYI. Like, I really liked Lan, and then I met Gareth, and I was like, oh, he my fave. Like, he's so... he is a true knight. Like, he's chivalrous, he's capable, he's witty. I'm like... I don't... He's not in the show, and I'm upset.
Well, he's not supposed to be in the show yet.
We're already at the...
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that for sure.
That's why I stopped. But I'm telling you right now, when we get to the part when we get to the show part, I'm holding back out of respect for the stream, because I know we're going to go in a certain order.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying
there. We're gonna unleash the Kraken.
So one of my favorite parts in book 1, I'll try and stick in order here. Also, Stig, I would appreciate no spoilers past book 5.
I'll do my best.
They all die. Oh no, I'm just teasing. I haven't read.
No, I mean, that wouldn't shock me, quite honestly. Like, oh,
they got run over by a wheel.
A wagon wheel.
The wheel did it. Woo.
The wheel did it. Okay, so actually one of my and lots of stuff happens in book 1. There is a ton of stuff going on. But when Rand finds out, or like begins to suspect, because so his father is, yes, Lady Tariel, I am. But his father is severely injured. The man he has the man who has raised him, the man he loves, the man who is his father, is severely injured after a Trolloc attack. So Rand and his father are back at their farm, and it's been a very long day. They were in the village, and lots he saw. I'm paraphrasing, but so he saw a black rider. Right, Stig? So
yeah,
he saw a black rider.
That's how it starts.
Yeah, so he saw a black rider.
Page.
That's not the first page. That's like the 5th page.
Second page. Well, if you skip the preview stuff about the former dragon.
True. Okay. Dragon, the prologue, you mean? which is also like, that's just sad. That prologue was just, oh man. But it's like, that also sets up the prologue of book 1. You're just like, whoa, like, just wow. And you figure out, by the way, why the male side of the one power is super tainted. But so you've got Rand and his dad, Tam, his father. So like, they have gone back to their farm after a super long day, and nobody believed that they were seeing this Black Rider until the council convened. And then they were like, all of these people, like all these boys are saying that they've seen this Black Rider, so maybe there is something to it. Well, when they get back to their farm, Tam goes up and like Rand hears like a scraping, like a box is coming out from underneath a bed. And he's getting a little bit concerned because he's never done anything like this before. They've never locked their doors. They've never locked their windows. He's concerned, as he should be. And his father comes down and he's holding a sword. And his father sort of like nonchalant is like, just in case, like, it's an old blade. Your mother wanted me to get rid of it, but I always held on to it for some reason. And start like
the blade is not just any blade; it's a blade master sword.
It's a blade master. It's a heron blade.
Yeah, and his dad knows what they're up against because he has seen stuff.
Mm-hmm. And so you find out. So what ends up happening is Rand, and again, I'll make a comparison later in the stream. But in the book, what Rand has to do to get his father out of danger is insane. Like, this boy he's a sheep herder. He's a sheep farmer. He's a shepherd. This boy he doesn't slash monsters. He doesn't gallivant on horses. He farms and he shepherds and he takes the cart back and forth from the village to the farm and vice versa. So it's not like he's a highly skilled warrior. And the fact that he is not only able to think about what needs to be done so he can rescue his father, who is currently in a delirious fever state because he's being poisoned by a Trolloc blade. But he actually like grows a spine and kills a Trolloc and then covers it up. And he's like, okay, I gotta do this. I gotta do that. I can't do this yet because they'll see the tracks. They'll see us, like, they'll find us. Like, I can't do that. Tam's injured. I just can't. Well, he figures he does all of this. He's a kid. He is a kid and he's thinking like this. And he has, all he has is the fact that he stalks rabbits and what his dad has told him and stuff that he's tried to remember, basically. And then the huge truth bomb gets dumped on him while he is dragging his father on a makeshift, oh God, what is it called? I know what that's called.
Stretcher.
Yeah, a makeshift stretcher. There's a different word for it, but yes. So he has made this thing from like bits and bobs and ends. He's dragging his father back to the village because he's like, I just need to get him there and it'll be fine. And then it like he's like, oh, you always wanted a son, like, and then this truth bomb about Rand's legacy and his lineage and who he actually is and where he really comes from just gets dumped on him because his father is in this fever state. And so that sends Rand into like this massive denial mode. And like it's so well written because this is his father. This is the only man he's known as his father. He barely remembers his mother. He's trying to save his father's life. Their sheep were slaughtered. Their farm was destroyed. They were almost killed. His father is still being poisoned to death by this Trolloc blade wound. And so like there's all of these things happening. And then he just gets that truth bomb dumped on him. And it's and he still manages, through all of this, he still manages to overcome all of those obstacles, including the truth bomb that got dropped on him. And it's such an incredible glimpse as to who he is, like his not just him as a character, but his character as a person in the book, like how tenacious and strong he actually is, because he doesn't think he's really all that much, and then he does all of these things. And
yeah, and the first few chapters is also, an introduction to the two rivers, the village they grew up in. And in my opinion, it's done so well that I would have been happy just reading a book about the two rivers,
Oh yeah.
because you constantly want to know more, because you're given the, tidbits, this guy over there is a greedy guy and the women chased him off, because he's an asshole.
Like just
and
the,
it just feels alive.
Yes, the world building. That's what I said. Like, it is on par with Tolkien in terms of world building. Like,
oh yeah,
it's just so incredible, the amount of detail and the imagery, and you're able to, like, it's so easy to visualize this world, and you never for once get. I mean, there's some really confusing names in this book. I'm not gonna lie. I had to read a couple of them a few times, and I still don't know if I'm saying them right. But you know who everybody is. Like, never once did I think that Nynaeve was Egwene, or that Rand was Perrin, or vice versa, because their character descriptions, but as well as their own character motivations and backstories, are so distinct and unique that you can't, like, it's Robert makes it so easy to read and fall in love with these characters. I mean, you can't really get them confused, if that makes sense, from the books anyway.
Yeah, and not a single one of the main characters are boring, and he adds to the main character list a bit later on. With Min becomes more of a main character later on as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Gadfly
Elaine.
Fiction. Gadfly Fiction says every character is so engaging that any one of them could have become an important POV character in their own story and be good. There we go.
Yes, actually.
Exactly.
Yes.
And at no point did you feel like someone was arbitrarily added or was put in the story just for the sake of filling a gap or filling space, if that makes any sense. At no point did you feel cheated out of a backstory from a character. You really felt like you got to know these characters and what their motivations are, what it is that they want to do, their personalities. Like Matt, when you meet Matt, like he's a prankster. Like he's the town clown. Like even if there's a line in the book, and I'm not gonna be able to quote it directly, but it's basically like, even if Matt was nowhere around and laundry fell off of one of the lines, they would blame Matt, because that's just like, that's what he was in the town. And so lethal.
We have some lightning.
Yay! Hello, my prince. But yeah, so never at any point, like, because even like Steve said, the Eamonfield, like when you're reading about the different characters that make up Eamonfield and the village and everything, the town council and everything like that, like there's serious prejudice in this book that comes to the forefront within Steve. Like the first 4 chapters, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's between families. It's between the neighboring villages. There's don't go over there. They're all retarded, right?
Yeah, like there's some serious interfamily battles and politicking and some people are trying to usurp others, and there's all this kind of stuff going on outside of, like, because this is a small community. Like, nobody has, what's it been? Is it 2 centuries or I think it's like 2 or 3 centuries, isn't it, Stig? Or maybe even longer, that anybody.
They don't even know they have a queen.
Yeah, they have no idea they have like, there's just nobody goes there and nobody leaves. And, like, they say, like, well, the farthest, Tarn, like the Tarn Fair, like, they're like, oh, well, I've been as far as Tarn Fair, or like, you got to watch out for oh god, I forgot the family name. But he's one of the ones that's sitting on the town council, and he's just like this. He's like the bitter old guy.
Oh, Senbui?
Was it Senbui? I don't remember. I do remember that they talked about like the peddlers, like only 2 or 3 of them came a year, maybe, like and then because the river would get too big and it would get too cold, and they're a lot, like, they are in BFE. Like, they've got, that's why it's called the 2 rivers. So they are effectively blocked. You've got these 2 raging rivers on either side, and then you have this huge mountain, basically impassable mountain range behind them. And it's supposed to be the Mountains of Mist. Like, they're supposed to be haunted. And so it's very isolated, and they don't leave. People don't leave, and people don't come. And so that was part of the reason when Rand, so he knew his mother was an outsider, because his father had left, but he never asked why. And so you start getting the way that Jordan, sorry, I know my thoughts are all over the place, but like the way that, I think both Stig and Teresa can agree with me on this, the way that Jordan is able to build up a mystery by just giving you like pieces of a puzzle you didn't even know you were looking at, like the Heron sword and a lineage question, and his mother was an like, you're starting to like piece stuff together, and you're not really sure what you're really looking at, but you want to know more. The way that Jordan reveals this to you, you just want to keep reading.
Sure.
Because, like, you're excited. You want to know, like, well, what is the significance of the Heron Blade? And you learn more about that from Lan, actually. And he's like, I wouldn't expect that to be in a place like this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and there's lots of comments here in the chat saying that this is like it's like his Shire. Somebody said Elsbeth, the Queen of all. Stig, I didn't know if you wanted to chime in on some of this. Oh, did we lose Stig? Oh.
No, you didn't lose me.
He was distracted by Matt Wilkins appearing. Yeah, we have Matt Wilkins in the house. The TV series is...
You're scrolling past all the questions. I'm not sure which I'm going to answer.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I was just talking about, they were talking a little bit about that this is like his version of the Shire.
Yeah.
The 2 rivers?
Yeah, I mean, you even have the Misty Mountains.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, we're going to get to that, Matt Wilkins. The TV series is worse than watching a Stig stream.
Speaking
and we
of
do
people
have
who live in secluded places with weird people, here's Matt Wilkins.
Yeah, and there was one up here. Let me highlight it. Literally, Dan asked, did you talk about the illusions from the tales Tom talks about that suggests this is a future Earth?
Nope, we didn't.
Haven't gotten there because I'm just rambling basically, but these books are so good, guys. Go read them.
Yeah, I don't know, Stig, do you know about the illusions from the tales Tom talks about? I'm not certain.
Oh yeah, Tom is like a gleeman, like a bard, and he tells stories, and he's the first one that gives us a little bit of tidbits about how the world was before. And we get more and more of that, but we don't get a clear image, I guess, until much later, where it's basically the world had reached, Blade Runner level, I guess, before it all went to hell. But now it's just a fantasy book thing, and it's like it says in the intro. Stuff became myths and legends, and that's what Tom tells the characters, right? And it's very well done because it's done naturally, and it doesn't feel like info dumps at all.
Well, maybe we should explain why there's so I just got done saying that people don't come to this town, right? Well, it is the spring festival. So they have a maypole basically. But so there's a pole, and the girls are supposed to any unmarried girls of age are supposed to dance around the pole, and all this stuff is supposed to happen, right? And well, what they have said, or what the rumor going around town is that a gleeman is coming. Well, it turns out that's true. They've paid a hefty sum of money because it's been a very hard winter. Like, winter is still going on. Spring should already be here. That's why it's a spring festival. And so it should already be spring. They should have already planted crops already and been working the land for a while at this point. And so in order to lift spirits, because the town is very down.
They're in
the
for
morale
a bad
is
year.
Yeah, it's a very bad year. So the mayor and also the head of the town council, obviously, he has paid to bring in this gleeman to tell stories and entertain and to really lift everybody's spirits up. He's also paid money for fireworks. So the reason that these people are coming in, so the peddler is supposed to bring fireworks, and the gleeman is supposed to come in and entertain and juggle and tell stories. And one of the things about Tom is Jordan spends a lot of time describing Tom's coat that identifies him as a gleeman, and how it's basically like a patchwork cloak, and it's very colorful and it's very bright, and it helps people identify him as a gleeman. And you find out that it's part of his act. He has lots of hidden pockets and stuff like that. But go ahead.
Yeah, and we learn later on that Tom is absolutely no pushover.
No.
Because that cloak is full of knives, and he knows how to use them. And later on, we get to learn a bit about why. And even Tom has an interesting past that will tie into the main story.
And why he is distrustful of Aes Sedai.
Very much so.
So yeah, I'm going to get corny here with my descriptions. The interweaving of the characters is brilliantly done. And there's nothing is done on accident with Jordan. Like, he didn't accidentally make Tom's coat a patchwork of colors. He didn't, for someone who has assassin level skills, I don't think I'm being hyperbolic in saying that. Would you agree with that, Stig?
Absolutely. Yeah, he absolutely has a high level of skills, and he also has contacts.
Yes.
He can actually have people assassinated in certain cities due to his contacts.
Yep. And so him being bright, and so this is actually almost a trope that Jordan turned on its head without people, at least from what I understand, without a lot of people realizing it, because most assassins want to blend in. They don't want to be noticed. They don't want to draw attention to themselves. And Tom is the exact opposite. He has all of these skills and all of this knowledge and is actually quite a deadly weapon, but he's very bright. He's very rambunctious. He is seen by all of these people. And so he takes on almost a this persona of, well, the gleeman would never do that. He's a gleeman. and that is really what Tom, you learn Tom is banking on that, on the fact that he has this silly name, that, you know, he's just a gleeman, he's not a threat to anybody, and he uses that to so many advantages. It's astounding.
Also, he in book 1, he basically, well, he is no coward and no pushover, and he goes face to face with a murderer without even blinking, really. A murderer in this story is pretty much like a ring wraith, I guess. You know, that's how you would compare them. Yeah, he goes one-on-one with a murderer with his knives, which is a very badass moment in the first book.
Well, cool. So much information. And as I've been writing in the chat, please feel free to ask any question. No question is too complicated, and no question is too simple. For example, Jacob, I believe he is referring to Laura Gerber. Does the audiobook count? My humble opinion is
100.
Yeah.
If no matter how you read the book, it counts, as long as it's not abridged.
The audiobooks are absolutely unabridged, and they're magnificently read. And 10 out of 10 for the audiobooks.
Yeah, well, there we are.
And honestly, like, there's, especially on long car rides, or if you're, you know, doing chores, whether that be like, I know that one of my favorite things to do is listen to audiobooks whenever I'm doing dishes or laundry or mowing the lawn or vacuuming or whatever it may be, because you like, I'm either listening to metal or audiobooks. Like, there really is no in between. I might be listening to opera, if we're gonna be honest, but like, there, you know, but like, it's such a good way to enjoy the story and really enrich yourself in it, while you have to be preoccupied doing something else as well. Like, I'm not saying you can't just sit there and listen to the audiobooks, which I have done countless times with several stories, and I do recommend that. But if you're on like a 14-hour drive, listen to the Wheel of Time.
Yeah, Aaron Delph makes a good point. The audiobooks have details you won't get from the regular novel because of how they are read, and the readers of them research how to properly pronounce each name. Yes.
Amen.
Yes. And sometimes they'll even perform the voices. So absolutely.
Yeah, and the accents.
That is true. Yeah, because welcome to everyone coming into the chat. Welcome everyone coming to the chat. It's good to see everybody. I hope I got to most of you. We do have an elf in the house. Timon Flip has showed up. And all of you coming in, it is always great to see you here on Miss Martin Muses. We are talking about the Wheel of Time. Hello, Soul Assassin. Please feel free to ask any question. No question is too complicated or too simple about the Wheel of Time. Oh, Shane Nolan. Oh, he mentioned Firemere. Soul Assassin, howdy. FYI, I mentioned Firemere on your behalf. Oh, well, thank you. That's always amazing. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Another great character.
Yeah, we love Faramir. We'll be talking a whole bunch about him on our Saturday show. Also, I love how Miss Martin Muses is getting my name right out of the gate. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. Well, I try. Okay, well, we've talked a little bit about what the Wheel of Time is in great detail. And please, everyone, the reason why I have this along the bottom is I encourage you all to ask any question that you would like, within reason, of course. We've talked about what it is. We've talked about some of the details of the book, but maybe I want to get a little bit into the why. Why is this such a significant work? What would you say about that, Stig? What is it about the Wheel of Time that you think elevates it above other fantasy?
Well, it's finished. And it's also, in my opinion, the closest anyone has gotten to Tolkien in terms of scope and, you know, the whole work. And Robert Jordan and Sanderson did not screw up the ending. which is very important. When it comes to something as big as this, you have millions of people all wanting a certain ending. And the best thing the author can do is give everyone a satisfactory ending, right? Because you'll probably not going to get the ending you want personally, but it's done well, well enough for all. And the second thing is, the enormous scope, and all the extremely fleshed out main characters, and even the side characters are very fleshed out. The whole story just feels real and believable within the frames of the story. There's no major screw ups. So yeah, rock solid product.
Excellent. And we do have a question from the chat. Naked Fame said, when do you guys think Rand was going mad? Is that something that's a thing? I don't know.
Well, not going to talk past book 5.
Okay.
So, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's something that's past book 5. Okay, yeah, I don't know because
I'll take my hang on. I'll take my headset off real quick and then just
it's
flag me down.
You can't really pinpoint it exactly because it's a gradual process, and it's still up for grabs. Near the end, is he mad? Isn't he?
Oh,
okay. Well, I see. Now I'm even more intrigued. I don't know.
Well, there you go. I think that you did that well without it being any kind of a spoiler, I think.
Yeah. He starts showing signs fairly early, though.
Okay. Yeah, and Soul Assassin, we will be getting to the Amazon series in just a teeny tiny little bit. Timon did ask me how many rings 0 to 10 do I give the series. Well, I cannot because I have not read them. I am the rest of you out here also asking my questions. And I honestly don't know.
I'd give it a 10.
Yep.
Yeah.
As far as I've read through book 5, I would give it. I think I would give 1, 2, 3, 4 a 10, and honestly, I think I'd give 5 if I could. I'd give 5 and 11 just because everybody told me that this is where it was going to start to slow down, and as far it was going to be very information heavy, very dense, and I enjoyed it. It was really immersive, and it made you appreciate the universe, the world that you were actually in, that you were a part of. And it made you curious going forward how all of this was going to fall into the story, because like I said, nothing that Jordan does, he didn't accidentally put that brilliant colored patch cloak onto Tom. He didn't accidentally give Rand fiery red hair. It's and I know that those are really simple, little things, but I think that's really the brilliance of this story, is because there's so much care that's been put into the details that there's not there's really not a weak point of this story, because so much care was put into not just the plot triggers and the overarching story and you're sacrificing character development or descriptors or imagery for the sake of just getting the story over with. Yes, exactly. It's the attention to detail that it has shored up this story to the point that I have yet to find a weak point in it.
Yeah, and it's extremely important that the writer pays attention to detail like this, because if a writer can't be bothered with the details, why the hell should the readers?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and a question for you, Stig. I want to know Stig's thought on how they only discovered that people who are gay exist after Jordan died. It felt so absolutely jarring. If it had been there from the beginning.
Oh, the TV show has not a damn thing to do with the books at all.
Okay, so in the books they all don't turn gay.
Oh,
okay.
No, they're just checking the boxes on the TV show. It's basically they got a hold of a franchise that had a lot of fans, and they just edited it to spam their own personal politics. That's
and
it.
somebody, the only thing
it
that
has
someone
happened
did,
before.
oh yeah, all someone did was like take the Cliff's notes of like book 1 and book 2, and was like, "Yay, powerful female magic wielders, crush the patriarchy. Let's go."
Yeah, Gadfleet said there are multiple instances where Jordan calls 2 women pillow friends. So he had them there, but not blatantly.
Oh, pillow friends. It just means they share a bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in Game of Thrones as well, in a sense, and they're not lesbians because of that.
Okay. Yeah, they're just
means they, hey, want to sleep over,
Yeah. Jacob has a question. Does it go through several generations of people?
Nope.
What does?
The whole series. I'm assuming he means the series, yes.
Yeah, I was like, what goes the Trollocs? Because they wiped out several generations of people.
Yeah, the story spans over 2 to 5 years, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's 5 years.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Naked Frame says it was not a part of the story.
No, it's not. Just like in Lord of the Rings, sexuality and sex is not at the forefront of the story. It's there's romantic interests in the story, but as far as I have read, unless I completely missed it, there's no bing bang ting tang in the books so far.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, well, Stig Arendelt is saying that he wasn't referring to the show, he's referring to the book, that they started referring to people who were gay in the books.
I don't remember anyone being gay in the books.
Okay.
Except a couple of side characters, maybe. But none of the main characters were gay.
Okay. Perhaps that's what he's referring to. Help us out, Arendelt. That never happened before Jordan died. Perhaps.
I get what you're saying.
The same thing. It's the same thing they're doing with Lord of the Rings. Those new experts claiming that Sam and Frodo is allegory for being gay, and no, it wasn't.
Same thing with, and it's Aragorn and Legolas and Gimli and Gandalf and Aragorn. Like, there's just a whole amalgamation of really sick shippers out there who are reinterpreting authors' works to fit their own worldview rather than just telling their own stories. Like, if that's the story you want, then go write it. But stop trying to force it into a story where it doesn't exist.
Sure. Okay, and Arendelt does confirm, yes, it was side characters. Naked Fame says Bane and Chiad were gay, or Chiad was at least bi. I'm not sure about this. So it was side characters. If it was definitely a side. Okay, Arendelt said no one turned gay. It was a lot of side characters. It was it the frogs, the water, or the frogs turned the frogs gay, or the water turned the frogs gay. It was a lot of side characters suddenly being referred to as gay. No reference such as just pillow friends, as though it was common. Okay, understood.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, pillow friends was. I mean, straight people were pillow friends too.
Yeah, I hate shippers. They need to stay up.
Yeah, shippers ruin everything. I mean, they're not even in it for the story.
Yeah. Well, I have no problem with shipping. I, in many ways, have been a bit of a shipper, just so long as you, within reason, keep it to the realm of fan fiction. It's like nothing wrong with fan fiction, but trying to impose it on the actual canon story, or perhaps, but it is okay to ship like a canon ship, but you don't have to be a weirdo about it.
Yeah, that's not what I don't think that's what Steve, because I mean, I think everybody cheers for when the guy gets the girl in that, like in The Mummy. Yeah, absolutely. I'm I'm all for it. Like, freaking give me Mr. O'Connell, like Rick and Edie. Yeah, I ship that hard, but I mean, they ended up together anyway. Like, they were a great couple. I don't think that that's necessarily, at least that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people who are solely invested in the sexual relationship of two characters, and when they don't get it, they like riot.
They threaten the writers.
Yeah, they threaten writers and
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
so
yeah,
like,
that's just insane.
it's
yeah.
So
It's a
I don't know.
Raylos.
Yeah, well, and I don't
Okay.
know if I talked about this with you guys or not, but like, so there's this show called The Vampire Diaries, and one of, I guess, two of the main actors on the show, and this all kind of came up when I was trying to like do some research for stuff. But two of the main characters on the show actually ended up dating in real life, and then they broke up in real life. And you know, they still had to work together and it was fine, but they stayed friends. And like, the girl is actually really good friends with the guy's now wife. But the guy was talking about how when he first got together with his now wife, he was being like, he was getting threats and they were calling her all these terrible names. And he said that she got between the other two and like all of these horrific things. And he was like, yeah, you know, I used to be a big fan of our two characters getting together, but the second that happened, where my fans were telling me that I had to do this because they needed their fictional relationship to be real, he's like, I was done. And I was just like, dang, like, yes. Like, I had no idea. Like, I knew about
that
Raylos.
stuff happens. Yeah, that stuff happens all the time. And it definitely gets unhealthy when people cannot tell the difference between fantasy and reality. Arendelle said he wants Stig's opinion. I think, if I'm correct, Stig, I think well, how does you answer that? Whether you felt it was jarring.
Can you highlight the thing?
Yeah, it is highlighted. I just want Stig's opinion on whether he felt that was jarring, that they were suddenly... Yeah, from what I understand, Stig, you had said that you didn't quite recall or something like that. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Well, who was it that said they were gay? You know, after the story was ended, where did that come from?
Yeah, well, he's saying that some side characters became gay after Jordan died, not after the story was ended.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I do see some questions that y'all are asking of me. I want to make it clear that I've said before, I have not read the books, so I have no idea. I am you, the people in the chat who maybe don't know a lot about it. So if I'm not answering your question, it's because I cannot answer your question. Okay. Arendelle said it was in the books written by Brandon Sanderson.
I've not gotten
Which character was it then?
Yeah. Well,
there's 2,500 characters or something.
Yeah. Well, it must not have been too jarring if you don't remember it, Stig.
No, it wasn't jarring to me.
Like, I'm just curious. Like, people realize that romance genre exists, right? Like, if that is what you're into, there are smut books out there for you.
Yeah.
Like, go read it. They exist. By all means, go enjoy yourself. Please stay out of my fantasies. Like, stay out of my sword and sorcery. Stay out of my high fantasy. Hell, stay out of my low fantasy where it's freaking goblins and trolls fighting. Like, stay out of it. Go.
Yeah.
If you want smut, go read smut. Like, there's a whole. You can go into romance just like anything. Romance has tons of subgenres. There's action romance. There's adventure romance. There's erotica. If that's what you want, go read it over there. Stay out of my high fantasy.
Okay, and they're saying it's Aleda and Leandrin. Okay, again.
Yeah, but those are, it's almost just like little side comments about it a couple of times in the whole story. It's not like Aleda has a love interest in the story, isn't it? You know?
Yeah. Okay, and Tim Criddle said they were pillow friends in A New Spring, but for the bulk of the books, who was sleeping with who was never a big deal unless it happened.
Yeah, and Moraine and Swan were definitely not gay. I
We're
mean,
not to the show yet, Steve.
Swan has a
Yeah, we'll get there.
Swan has a love interest in the books.
Gareth.
Yeah, so she's into
My
guys.
knight.
Yay. Okay, yeah, and Jacob, I do see your comment here. We're gonna get to the show in just a few minutes. Okay, so
Well, you know what though? It's kind of weird. It's a huge epic story about, the world is about to end. They need to prevent it, and then people focus on who gets to sleep with who, and shipping. It's like priorities, right?
yeah.
These are the people that would die first if there was ever a real world calamity.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got their priorities all screwed up. I can't. Miss Martin.
It's like World War III happens, and people start doing articles in the news about shipping Kamala Harris with Putin.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, what?
Something like that.
That would. Yeah, that's a pretty good equivalency.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. So apparently there was some scene, that was very obvious, and there was some condescending gay stuff. Well, how's this? When I get to book 14 or so, I think is it the last book. I'll have a bit of a
clue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a bit of a read on it.
What Tim Criddle says. I mean,
yes,
they're absolutely straight in the books.
Yeah, Tim Criddle, even early in the book when Swan and Moraine think about their youth and wanting to find...
I mean, they are co-conspirators. Like, there is a reason that Moraine has not been back to the White Tower in so long. And the Evelyn see, of course, she know, like, what they are attempting to do, because, I'm trying to remember exactly how this breaks down. Basically, there was like they saw the birth of a baby, and hang on, I think I can. And,
Okay.
Well, basically, the Emmeline share, like, she knows what's going on with Moraine, and they're co-conspirating to find the dragon reborn. There, I'll trim down everything I was going to say into like that very small sentence.
Yeah, it's one of the other Aes Sedai has a foretelling, telling them, "Oh yeah, he's born. The dragon reborn got born right now."
And it's a dude.
He was born. The guy in the prophecies.
No question.
Yeah, and then Moraine and Swan dedicate their lives basically to find him and guide him. I guess, to make sure he succeeds.
Okay. All right, we're getting there, everyone, but I do see some of your questions about the show. Just very quickly, Lady Gravemaster, I want to make sure that if there was anything you wanted to say about why the show, why the Wheel of Time is significant, and why it kind of stands out as great fantasy literature.
Sure. Yeah. So from everything that I've read, like I said, the attention to when you read fantasy books today, and I have friends, like I said, I've said this before, I have friends who are professional writers, and they've been instructed by big publishing houses to insert certain check boxes into their story, whether it should be there or not, whether it makes sense for it to be there or not. And this is a story that doesn't need to do that. It's very genuine and it makes sense. And when Jordan writes and you're reading about these people who are from different places, and they all dress different, and they all sound different, and they all look different from other regions. So like the Two Rivers folk have a Two Rivers vernacular, they have a Two Rivers appearance, and they have a Two Rivers attire. And it's very obvious where they are from. And so when they go to a place like Tar Valon, like it's like they are obvious outsiders, even though it's this big city and people are coming and going and there's a lot going on. It is very apparent that they do not belong, like they are not from there or anywhere close to from there. They're very far from this. They are from the far south. And so as you read the book, that holds true for all the regions. All of these people, like we were talking about characters, but Jordan, I think what really separates him is the world building, the amount of care that he's put into each region, and each region has its own history and its own story and its own people, and it just helps solidify the world around you, and that it becomes extremely immersive to the point where you're able to start hearing these accents in your head, and you're able to start visualizing these places and understanding why these people think the way they do or act the way they do. And so it's not anything that is contrived. It's all intentional, and it all makes sense for the story. And all it does is add to the story. It never detracts.
It also adds to the scope of the world, making
Yes.
it larger, because it's a big deal when they run into the sea folk in the books, and the Aiel and stuff like that. It's
yeah. And to that point, Naked Fame says the world is diverse. Lady Gravemaster is spot on. The world is diverse, and it is one of the driving forces of the plot and motivations of the fielders. With it being instantly diverse everywhere, the world building dies.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Spot on, because there's no uniqueness to any of the countries.
Nope.
If every country is the same.
Yeah.
And that was one of the first warning signs for the TV show, because the showrunner said in one of the first interviews that he personally wanted Robert Jordan's world to be as diverse as he envisioned New York to be in 40 years. So that had nothing to do with Robert Jordan's vision whatsoever. It was the showrunner's personal view that got stuffed in there, which is, in a sense, a form of narcissism, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's full-blown me instead of the story.
Okay, perfect transition. Let's talk about it. Kids. Here we go. That was a perfect transition. Oh boy. Oh, but except for very quick question. Sorry, I didn't say it. Okay, Stig, would you rather have 302 Rivers Longbowmen or 60 Dunedain Rangers?
Well, the 60 Rangers.
Yeah, the Dunedain. Absolutely.
Okay, well, okay, let's go for the show. Let's let him have it. Now, I know that Jacob, your question and comment was something to the effect of, do you think it will be able to survive much longer?
The show?
Yeah, like, will it go
on?
If
it makes it past 3 seasons, I will eat my hat.
Well, the way they're condensing everything, it's like 14 books in 2 seasons, really.
Really,
run
it
out
is.
of material fast.
So Stig and I actually had this conversation a little bit earlier in private before the show. Like, I think this was like a day or two ago.
Yeah, we have really deep conversations about this stuff.
super deep conversations.
Yeah.
Basically, I just showed up.
Glasses just for that.
I basically just showed up and was like, "What in the ever-loving good God Almighty is happening?" And he was like, "Yeah, I know." But so essentially, when I first heard that they were going to put 3 books into 1 season, I didn't understand it, because at the beginning of the stream, we're talking 2 books. The first 2 books average 600 pages each. That is 1,200 pages. 1,200 pages in just the first 2 books. Okay?
Yeah.
They have enough material in book 1 to do a 20 episode series, like a 20 episode season for sure. So if they're sticking to 8,
this is a little what happened with Game of Thrones as well, because they ran out of source material. But when you condense one book into 4 episodes, you're gonna run out
2.5.
fast. Because
Well,
book 1 got a full season. Book 4, what little they used of book 4 was 4 episodes, and then book 5 was 6 episodes, and book 5 is bigger than book 1. And then they're like, yeah, we don't have any source material. Yeah, well, you abandoned storylines and just skipped ahead so fast.
Yes. Okay, so this was a point that I had brought up. So I finally figured out how they're condensing 3 books into 1. So there is a point. So Nynaeve she's okay. I guess, do I have to say spoilers?
Yeah, there'll be spoilers from the TV show. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I don't care.
This part's in the book.
Away.
Well, so this part is in the book. So Nynaeve is the most powerful channeler in 1,000 years. But there is so much leading up to that to add context and for her to realize what she is and who she is and what she has been denying. Not to mention, so it's really just the 4 boys who are the potential Dragon Reborn. The whole reason, by the way, FYI, the show did a disservice to Egwene by making her a potential Dragon Reborn, and here's why. Because in the book, Egwene figures out, she's like, they're acting suspicious. I should go with them and figure out what's happening, like why they're acting this way. Why are they not being themselves? Because Perrin and Matt are acting sus, basically. So it should just be the 3 of, in the books, it's Rand, it's Perrin, and it's Matt. And Egwene figures out that they're acting suspicious, so she follows them. And the reason she wants to go, is because she wants an adventure. She wants to go see the world because she has agreed to be the wisdom for the town after Nynaeve. Or another town that might be close. Like, she might leave to her. She tosses this out to Rand, where she's like, there's other towns who need a wisdom. And Rand's like, you leave 2 rivers? And so Egwene's character, like, you learn so much about Egwene's character in that scene because she wants adventure. She wants experience. She wants to go out and see the world. She feels trapped in the 2 rivers right now, especially because of all the stories that she heard and what Nynaeve has told her and all of these different things. And she was fascinated when Tom the Gleeman was telling these stories, and she was listening to them. And she wanted to go out and see that. And she stood her ground against an Aes Sedai, was like, no, I'm not leaving. I am coming with you, or I'll go. She basically blackmailed them. And she's like, yeah, I'll just tell everybody where he went. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And so...
a lot of people are saying that they actually said they didn't have enough time, but yet they added content, added characters.
So much ridiculous stuff that doesn't belong in there. But anyway, so they've completely undermined everybody's character, but they've done a huge disservice to Egwene because now she's just basically one of the guys. She's not this woman who's like this young girl who stood her ground, who wanted to go out on adventures, who had this independent spirit. No, instead, she's just one of the potential Dragon Reborn. Like, no, that's not how this works. And
well, the big mistake they're doing with this is they don't think ahead. They think of the immediate effect of checking the boxes and what have you, which is they're catering to the instant gratification crowd, which is, the new generation, right? And that seems to be good enough for them. And you see it in everything. Look at Star Wars, same thing. They don't think ahead, and every changes to a big story has ripple effects. If you change Matt's character, then his whole storyline will be changed.
Yep.
As a result, and they've done it with all the characters. And
yes,
I tried to warn people about this. When Game of Thrones was going on and they abandoned the books after season 4. this and that is going to have ripple effects because now we won't get this and that, because that character is dead and this storyline is abandoned. So,
or that character just just doesn't exist. Period.
Yeah, and all those interactions and plot changes as a result of that will affect the other plot lines.
Yep, and so we've essentially
the characters react to each other, right?
Yeah, because they're all woven together in like it. They're literally. Oh, I'm so angry, but I think what we had talked about, Steve, was like if they had followed the books, they would have had all the girl power brouhaha moments that they could have possibly wanted, but the context would have been there. You would have been able to understand, so because if you listen to the show, it's just like arrogant men broke the world. Well, hold on, that's actually not true. Like,
yeah,
I mean, technically, but it's also your fault. Like, you're not innocent in this, as I said.
Lanfair was the one who bored into the Dark One's prison.
Mm-hmm.
That was a woman. Yep. If she hadn't done that, a lot of bad things would not have happened.
Yeah. Well, and then
she set the whole thing in motion, basically.
And then you think about, when you're reading, so just really in the prologue of the first book, when you're learning about Dragonmount and Lutherian Telemann, and I'm probably saying that wrong, but I digress. And you're learning like what he was put through by the Dark One and what he had to endure, and how he is actually he's calling himself arrogant, he's calling himself foolish, he's calling himself all of these things. It's not Moraine Sedai in her blue ajah freaking berating men. It is literally the dragon realizing his mistakes and trying to wrestle with them. And you guys have read the prologue. I won't ruin it for anybody here. Seriously, go pick up the book. That prologue is insane. It's so good and it's devastating all at the same time. And you're just like, holy crap, I need to understand what happens and what goes on, because
and the eerie thing is you learn that, hey, that stuff in the prologue, that can happen to Rand.
Yes.
In this story, and the guy in the prologue had killed his wife and all kinds of shit.
Yeah, like
so if that happens to Rand, who is he gonna kill like that, right? Is it Egwene? We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I've not read that far. You tell me. No, I'm just kidding. Don't ruin that for me.
No, I'm not gonna tell you.
They all die.
Well, and I mean, like, I have theories, of course, but like the whole thing is with the way that they did this was they ripped out bits and pieces from book 1, book 2, and book 3. They like Frankenstein monstered them together, and they slingshot past so much stuff, like very important things that you can't just like be like, oh, we'll do like a 10-second scene where the characters talk about the fact that this happened, but we won't actually show it to you, which I wouldn't put past Amazon for anything. But
Naked
like,
Fame in the chat is spot on. They retconned the whole history in the novels in the first minute of the show.
Oh yeah.
You know what? I told people that it took them 3 minutes to actually destroy the whole story. Yep. And I'm not being hyperbolic about this.
No.
It's literally what happened. 3 minutes, and the whole story was destroyed. And they I don't know if you guys remember the Legend of the Seeker show, which was based on the Sword of Truth.
Yeah.
Same thing. They followed the books for like a minute, and then it became its own thing. And
should we even touch on Shannara?
Oh, that was no. Let's not touch poop.
Yeah. No, it's just like the thing is they were so desperate to get to, so like I even tweeted this out when I was watching the first few episodes. I was like, oh my god, they are telegraphing the Knave to be the Dragon Reborn, and it's not even funny. And in episode 6, and yes, I swear I've got episode reviews coming. It's just the show is so terrible. But last night, so like they are, so the last episode was episode 6, and they have essentially like at one point, so Moraine is talking to Seun, and like is like, well, we can't rule out Nynaeve as the Dragon Reborn because of how powerful she is. Yes, you can,
because she's a woman.
She's a woman, and she's too old. She's like 6 or 7 years too old.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Brandon Sanderson, before the show before the show started, said that the ending to the season will be very controversial to the book fans, and you can literally see what's going to happen already.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Boy. That's what I'm saying. So like, because there's a part in the show where they're talking about like a many-headed dragon, and I'm like, I swear to God, if you make all 5 of them, first of all, there shouldn't even be 5, but I digress. If you're gonna make
a many-headed dragon, wouldn't even be a dragon; it would be a hydra.
Yep. But they call it a many-headed dragon. I'm like, if you make all 5 of them like a piece of the dragon, we're gonna have problems. We're gonna have massive, massive problems, because you have essentially destroyed everything beyond book 2. Like everything.
Well, they already have.
I know, but I mean like nothing will be left except dust.
Nothing. Yep. Now, Jacob is asking, where do the portals go to? Were they having portals in the show, or?
Oh, the Waygates.
Yeah, well, they have portals too eventually, but because there's portal stones and all that as well.
Oh,
but the Waygates are basically the fast travel of Wheel of Time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and there's the Waygates. That's what when they go into the ways in the first book, that's one of my favorite chapters, because it's eerie as shit.
Mm-hmm.
That and the Shadar Logoth chapter, and
which the show did not do justice to, FYI.
Has it done justice to anything?
No.
Oh, gosh, no. Yes, Naked Fame's getting a beer, apparently.
The many-headed dragon. I bet you the guy has read Game of Thrones with the dragon must have 3 heads.
They're just ripping off.
I would not be surprised.
Ugh.
And then they want the viewers to go, oh, yeah, who could it be? It has to be this person and maybe that one. And let's wait and see in the next 5 seasons who it is. And then they start,
stupid mystery box stuff.
Yeah, it's a mystery box shit, and it's poorly done, and it's obvious.
Now, is this true? Vic Rattlehead says they had time for, I don't even know if I can read this out loud. It sounds so disgusting. Lan Twist crying. Moraine, I guess, being a lesbian. Yikes. Is that really going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have the one guy who doesn't cry.
Yeah.
Has cried already.
Oh, twice, 2 or 3 times. Yeah.
Oh gosh. And sorry, Timon Flip says, so Lady Gravemaster, you are basically saying that the show is like MCU Spider-Man, no resemblance to the original material.
Way worse.
Yeah, like.
Oh yeah.
That's being way too kind of a comparison.
I'm saying Captain Planet. Oh gosh.
Captain Planet, he's your hero. Yeah, no, this The books are so good, and Amazon could have easily had a 15-season show with these books. Easily a 15-season show. And instead, they have shotgunned through and passed, like, I swear to God, I got whiplash watching some of these episodes. If you can't tell who anybody is, you have no time to invest in some of these characters. The characters you do have time to invest in have been altered and muddled and blended down and ground down into just blobs, basically. Like, I can't. Perrin and Matt at this point are completely interchangeable. They're both broody and quiet. Like, their physical natures are really the only two things that can separate them at this point in the show. Like, that is the only thing in the show, because they're both broody, they're grumpy, they're self-loathing, they're self-destructive. This is in the show, not the books. The characters in the show, they have completely just friggin' muddled them. Like, you could not separate Perrin and Matt's characters to save your soul, because they are, like, identical. Rand is a crybaby. Like, I can't think, like, it's not so much the fact that he cries, it's just he's, like, incapable of doing anything. Like, he just, stuff just sort of happens, and he just sort of goes with it. He doesn't make any like what I was talking about when he's putting together the litter. That's the litter. That's what he built. So when he's saving his father and being smart when it comes back to going into the house and picking up the supplies and dragging him back to Eamon's Field, back to the village, back to Eamon's Field, thinking all of these things through and being very decisive and survival instincts and capable. None of that is in the show. He literally just goes along with stuff that is happening.
Oh, for crying out loud.
I'm so angry.
Oh, boy. Yeah, it says the boys and girls were so innocent. Vic Rattle says, blatantly shacking up in your dad's inn was just being edgy, just because Game of Thrones.
That was the most... Like, that's one of the most awkward sex scenes I've ever seen in any show ever. And it was so out of place. It just made zero sense. Like, and in episode 6, I want to say it is, like, there's literally topless women walking around just for, like, there's no reason to put them in the shot other than, hey, let's put this topless woman in the shot.
Because
like,
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Now, Naked Fame wants to know if there's anyone on the panel that likes the show. I haven't seen the show. Lady Gravemaster, is there anything you can say positive about the TV show? Positive. That's not hard.
I just need a second.
Costumes. I don't know. I'm trying to think what could be perhaps tolerable. Well, while you're doing this, I can just say right here what Soul Assassin is saying. I weep for Lord of the Rings.
Oh God, yeah. I have got to gird my loins for that show. I am so terrified. If I had to say something positive about Amazon's Wheel of Time,
it's gonna get canceled soon.
Yeah,
there we go.
There you go. I think the only thing that I can really think of to say positively about the show is that I am positive that it is going to cost them way more money than it's going to make them.
Yay.
There you go. There's your positive.
Let's West Side Story it. The new West Side Story it.
Oy vey.
Someone said...
You know what?
It
made me appreciate the books even more. I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There we go. Oh, Tom Criddle says, positive for the show. You can hear pronunciation of names from the book. There you go.
Well,
assuming they cared enough to pronounce them correctly, you could just do the audiobook.
Yeah, that's already done. It's in the audiobooks.
Soul Assassin says the end credits are a blessing. I'm sorry, not Soul Assassin. Timon Flip, topless women. Okay, he liked the topless women. There you are.
Okay.
Sam says,
Hey, there's your...
okay, yeah. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. This was an amazing discussion and great showing here in the chat. Chat, you are on fire as usual. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for everything. But we do need to start wrapping up this party. Lady Gravemaster, I'll let you go ahead and go first, since you have to go first. Is there any final thinkings? Oh my gosh, can I speak English? Any final thoughts you have on any of it?
Absolutely. The books are incredible. Go pick them up, whether it's I am always a firm believer in physical copies. So check out used bookstores. There's stuff online as well. Go to garage sales, whatever it may be. But pick up, whether they're paperback or hardcover, pick up the physical book copies. I strongly recommend those. But however you can get your hand on the series, whether it's a library or loaning out from a friend or what have you, maybe getting ebooks because they can be a little bit more affordable. Definitely read the book series. Like, even within the first chapter, you are going to have so much more fun and immersion and excitement than all 6 episodes of Amazon's show that have been released of late.
Also, if you can, get the original covers.
Yes,
they're amazing.
They are incredible covers.
They don't even have keys on them.
No keys, no chess pieces, no keys. It's wonderful. But there you go. Eye of the World audiobooks free on YouTube. God bless. Yay. So yeah, there's ways to get a hold of it. Definitely check out the book series. If you guys are looking for good fantasy, whether it be film or books, I mean, you can't go wrong with Lord of the Rings. I strongly recommend the Shannara Chronicle books. It's just incredible.
Oh, Raymond Feist.
Yes, anything by Raymond Feist, Terry Brooks, A.R. Salvatore, Sarah Douglas. Like, there's so many incredible stories out there that have not been touched or tainted. Absolutely go check those out. Read those. You are not beholden to read or watch or consume stuff that has been created in the present year. There has been stuff that has come before and it has been done better. So free yourself from the monotony of postmodernism. Go and check out some of these incredible works. I mean, listen to Miss Martin, listen to some of Teresa's streams. She's awesome. She knows her stuff. Stig will pop around on live streams. So there's so much stuff out there, music, film, books, whether it's older or independent stuff being made today. It's all really great stuff, and I highly recommend you guys check all of it out. But steer as far away as possible as you can from Amazon's woke of time, because it is a travesty.
Basically, if you pay for it, you're enabling it.
Yep.
If you're giving it views on Amazon, then you're helping it be a thing.
Yes, and I'm guilty of that, but also I hope that I'm helping deter a lot of you from watching it. So, but yes, buy what you love, invest in what you love, so that what we hate will die.
Yeah. Crap of time, says Soul Assassin.
Crap of time. There you go.
Okay,
but but yes, I appreciate everybody in the chat. Thank you all for coming. You guys are amazing. Much love to you all. I hope that this was, if not informative, I hope it was kind of fun, because it was fun for me.
Yay. Well, and where can we find you if you have time to give a quick plug?
Yeah. So I have a Twitter and an Instagram where I'm at Lady Gravemaster. I'm also on Minds, which is where I'm going to be a bit more active. I am also looking into oh god, now I can't even think of what it's called. There's the one that's kind of like Twitter. I can't think of it right now.
Odyssey, Gab.
No, not Rumble. I don't know. But I'll be getting a couple different social medias. I also will be starting an Odyssey channel over there, and it's so I'll have different stuff that you guys can kind of find me on, but I do also have a YouTube channel. I got a few vids up. I'm going to be cranking out some episodic reviews of this trash dumpster fire insanity.
Yes, and if y'all haven't seen her videos on the Wheel of Time, go ahead and watch them. They are definitely epic.
Thank you. I like your stuff. You're good at all that stuff.
Well, thank you. And you can always find us first Saturday on Father Miller's, his Nerd Father Faith and Fantasy show.
Yes.
With Odin's Movies blog and others. So, well, thank you, Lady Gravemaster. I do know you have some duty is calling.
So. I do, yes. Literally, like duty is calling. So,
oh gosh, literally.
Yeah, much love to you all, guys. Teresa, thank you so much for having me on tonight. Stig, it was a blast. I appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. Okay. Love to you both, and much love to the chat. I hope you guys have a great night and Merry Christmas.
Okay, you too. God bless.
Bye.
Okay,
God bless.
Bye. Stig, Tim Criddle has a question for you. Have you read the Cold Fire trilogy by C.S. Friedman?
I have not. I have heard of it though, but I don't have the books yet. I might get them in the future, but I am trying to. I will be spending my next reading year trying to finish off some series that I have started. Mainly, I'm reading. Well, I will be reading more Joe Abercrombie, which is a newer writer. Well, he's been at it for 10 years or so, but new in terms of fantasy. Great writer, Joe Abercrombie. Check him out. Other than that, I'm kind of reading a couple of Star Wars books. I will be taking a Star Wars break though, because the stench of Disney has tainted it.
Mm-hmm.
And I will be reading a lot more of the old, the old Robert E. Howard Conan stories, because I have a big tome now that has all the Robert E. Howard stories in it. So that's...
me too. Somebody convinced me to buy them. I can't imagine who it was.
Yeah. Oh, and I need to catch up on the Drizzt books by R.A. Salvatore. I have 4 books that I haven't read yet.
Yep.
And I think in the summer, Raymond Feist will have finished his new trilogy, which is not set in the Rift War universe. So that's brand new stuff. So I put that off until the whole trilogy was out. So I'm going to be tackling that one too.
Oh, well, excellent.
There's so much good fantasy out there to read, and better to read it, in the author's vision than experience it, like the Wheel of Time show, which has nothing to do with the author's vision at all.
Precisely. Yeah, and I'm reading through the Raymond Feist books, loving them, loving every bit of them. So if you haven't read his stuff, go for it. Gadfly, thank you for giving us some Latin. Valete or valet. I do ecclesiastical pronunciation. I don't know if you do the classical, so I hope I didn't just trigger you with that. Yes. As Shane Nolan says, I've taken a Star Wars break in favor of Dune. Babylon 5 books. Lady Trail says, I love Drizzt. Jacob says, evil can only corrupt what is created. It cannot create.
Yeah, and I have a quote about that too that I came up with. In order to create, you have to be able to dream. But if you're too woke, you can't dream.
Ooh, nice. Can't dream while you're awake. Okay, did we stall long enough for you, Soul Assassin? I know you asked for a little bit of time. But yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Where can we find you, Stig?
On your channel on Saturdays for the Lord of the Rings talk. And Tomorrow, I will be on Jade Shadow's channel. Mora. We will be doing our top 10 Christmas movie list.
Yay.
We do top 10 lists once a month. And keep in mind, it's not the top 10 best Christmas movies. It's just our favorites. So there's probably going to be some shit movies on the list.
Okay. Oh, Cape says some people are so woke they're sleep deprived. Yay.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay, and then you can also see him on OG Star Wars channel as well as mine with the 2 towers. So
yeah. Oh, Salty Texas says it's great to hear me talking versus Twitter. Here's the thing. I come off as very blunt on Twitter, and it has to do with the way we talk in Norway. It's not the same as in the United States. We're very blunt and to the point. And yeah, so when you only have a certain amount of characters as well to make a tweet, I come off as really blunt.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm not angry on Twitter. I'm just blunt.
Yeah. Well, I think straightforward is a better word than blunt. It has to do with those Scandinavian, Germanic kind of thing going. It's
Whenever I say dumbass on Twitter, though, I actually mean it.
Oh. Uh-oh. Except for the Swedes. Yeah, Zach, I think Stig would.
Yeah, those are orcs.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if this is a riddle for you as we start to fade away. How many Two Rivers bowmen mounted on horseback would you need to match?
I would say that is a trick question because the Two Rivers bowmen use longbows, and you can't use a longbow on horseback.
Ooh.
It's not going to work.
Huh?
So I would take the Dunedain Rangers again.
Yay. There we go. Salty Texas, I dig it. I've been to Finland, but not Norway.
Finland's great. It's basically forests and lakes. It's called the Land of the Thousand Lakes, actually.
Yay. Yeah, and everyone's saying have a good night. He's right, Oh, wait. They did steeds. They did in the book. Oh, wait.
I don't think they used longbows from horseback. No, they had the hunting bows, but not the longbows.
+5 bow you can, says the dungeon master.
That is absolutely true. In D&D you can. In D&D you can also have a great sword in each hand, which is weird. But it's a game, though. It's supposed to be fun.
Okay, well, he's saying during the battle where the Shan were trying to overrun the forces protecting the Empress, it was the Two Rivers bowmen.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they use the longbows later? I don't know. My memory is a bit fuzzy about that. So if I'm wrong, I stand corrected.
Oh, well, there you go.
But historically speaking and practically speaking, you can't use a longbow from horseback. The Mongols were the most famous mounted archers in history, and they had shorter bows because practical on horseback.
Huh. Well, there you are. Salty Texas C speaks the truth. Roll a 20 and the world is your oyster.
Yeah, roll a 20. Don't roll a 1, especially not when climbing. Isn't that correct, Teresa?
Yeah. Yes, my character had some trouble climbing. I rolled some very low rolls.
If you want to hear Teresa cuss, play D&D with her.
It's the dice. It's the dice.
And when I am DMing, I have a book. It's called A Million Ways to Die, which also has a critical and fumble effects on them, which means, there's a table for each kind of weapon. So you don't just get a critical hit, you also have a chance of chopping someone's arm off or whatever. They even have tables for animals. So you can literally get your eye, poked out by a ram or a cat can claw it out or whatever. It adds to it.
Yeah. What's my character, Miss Martin Muses? Well, right now we're playing Conan D&D.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, Conan D20, that's what it's called. The second edition Conan D20, which is not the same as the second edition D&D. It's more similar to the 3.5 edition, but with a lot more common sense in it, actually. And it's brutal, really brutal.
Yes.
And there's a nude woman on every page in the book. You have a guy in a loincloth on the left pages, and a naked slave girl on the right pages, as the border on the page, really.
Yeah. So it's a distraction for both the male and the female.
Yeah, equally.
Yes. Yeah, no, I love it. I got into this Dungeons and Dragons and then D20 Conan. Now I know the proper way to say it. My character is a very interesting woman. She's a thief. So
yeah. And both Alora and Nina play barbarians, and Mara plays a temptress, which is pretty much like a bard, only instead of singing and playing instruments, she has skills with the meat flute. She shags people for bonuses.
Yeah, and she has to shag people like with the right characteristics or something, because it has to be a certain race, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I think you would agree with this, Stig. 3.5 edition equals the best edition.
Yeah, overall, I'd say so. I always thought the first and the second edition had a lot more heart and way better artwork on the books, especially the second edition. But overall, as a system to get into that makes sense and all, 3.5 is probably the best. That's just my opinion, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gosh, you got everyone's attention when you mentioned naked women. No one got so excited about him mentioning naked men. What's wrong with you?
Well, it's all guys in the chat.
That's true. I'm the only chick. Oh, boy. Yeah, now they're waxing nostalgic about Playboy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you've never done a D20 or kind of game or D&D, I'd recommend it. I found it to be loads of fun.
It's only as fun as the players, because you need a good group of players. They need to go well together and all that. And so if you can find a good group, it's it's a lot of fun. A lot of people tend to go, you can only play if you have a good DM, but that I don't find that to be true, because the DM is only as good as his players as well.
Mm-hmm.
You need players with imagination.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Soul Assassin. Naked Faramir, Teresa, happy. Yeah. Arendelle says, I unfortunately lose my temper way too easily during those games if I'm a player. Well, it can happen. Yeah. The answer is no to that, Naked Fame. I'll just say no. Oh, and Arendelle said I was okay. It's a DM for a few sections. Oh, here we go.
If the players are naked, I don't think they're naked while playing, but well, you never know. but the characters sometimes are.
Yeah. Well, yes, because sometimes they have to be. But, being naked, that wasn't always necessarily a sexual thing. Yeah.
Oh,
Thank
it's a
you,
sexual thing with these ladies, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, Soul Assassin, thank you, by the way. Yeah, these bots have been showing up on loads of chat. Timon Flip says, while Stig was talking about the cover art of D&D books on Twitter, I had to buy the third edition of Oriental Adventures. Love this book.
Yeah, it's basically the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon D&D in a sense.
Well,
yeah,
there you go.
It's pretty cool. I haven't spoken to anyone who's actually played it, because people usually want the classic D&D, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of other options too, like the Oriental Adventures, and there's also the Call of Cthulhu if you're into horror stuff. So you have a Lovecraft D20. I have that book. It's actually quite cool. You can set the story in any time period. If you want to play in the 1920s, you can.
Well, there we are. That's always an option. And stay tuned. I think that we're going to be doing some more streams with Lady Gravemaster with a lot of other nerdy topics. So we're going to be around here in cyberspace and talking about what we love, our lovely nerd culture.
Yeah, it could be that we have a show planned in the early stages for stuff like this.
Precisely. So please, if you haven't already, go ahead and give a subscribe to Miss Martin I'm sorry, I just saw Berserkers went into battle naked, and subscribe too. Well, yeah, because they were berserking. That's kind of a thing of them. But yes.
Yeah, it was all the rage back then.
Yes, but yes, please subscribe and stay tuned on Twitter and follow around if you haven't, because I think that there's some very exciting things coming up. Because as Lady Gravemaster was saying, isn't it nice to talk about things you love, and maybe some geek things from the past? There's so many treasures out there. Yeah,
it's if the future's shit, turn around and look to the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you think about it, people go, oh yeah, the new Superman comics suck and all that, and fine, it probably does, but I bet you haven't read all the Superman comics that came before that are good.
Precisely.
So go back and start collecting the old stuff. I mean, if it was good then, it's probably still good now.
Yep. And a good example is I got some reprints of the first Wonder Woman comics, the ones from 1941, and they are amazing. Love them. So go find them and all of those. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this party. We're going to go ahead and wrap up this party. You all have
also, Naked Fame says, a bunch of naked Norsemen running at you with their junk painted blue, screaming with sword and axes. The junk wasn't painted blue. It was just that it's really cold in Norway.
Wow. Well, there you go. Yes, you have a great evening. You all have a great evening. Exactly. That's Shane Nolan. My gosh. Thank you, everyone, for being in. Thank you. You were a marvelous chat. Today. Can't say much more except I really do appreciate all of you. If I missed anyone, I do apologize. Okay, so Stig, you just gave them some TMI. I think that we've triggered the chat. Well, have a good evening, everyone. Have a good evening, and be certain, do not watch the Amazon Wheel of Time.
And do not sniff glue.